Hey everybody, Ms. Dietrich here. We're taking a look at question number 11 from the L18, which says, for which values of, and this is a typo by the way, it's supposed to be a D there, so let me fix that now. It's supposed to be a D. Are the expressions 12D plus 8 and 4 times 3D plus 5 minus 8 equivalent? And they give you these choices. So the first thing we need to do is we need to understand that there are two expressions that they're giving us. And I always suggest that you look and see if any of them are simplified. So the one in the yellow box is in simplest form, so we don't need to do anything more with that. If it was not in simplest form, then my recommendation would be to go ahead and simplify it. By the way, the answer to the question, how do we know it's in simplest form? We cannot combine terms. They're unlike terms. If this had had a D after it, then we would go ahead and add our 12 dogs plus our 8 dogs to get a total number of dogs, but they're not like terms, so we have to leave it as is. But this expression, which I'm going to put in this red box, is not in simplest form. So when that's the case, then the best approach is to go ahead and simplify it first. So that's what we're going to do. I rewrote it down here. Let's distribute. So if we have 4 groups of 3 dogs, then don't we have 12 dogs? And if we do 4, let's copy that plus sign. And 4 times 5, or 4 plus a positive 5, would end up being a positive 20. So we're done distributing. We can't do this times this because this is not included in the parentheses, so we'll just copy it again. All right, now this is not in simplest form. Why? Because we can simplify this. These are 2 numeric values. We can go ahead and subtract 8 from 20, and then it ends up being 12. So really, what do we have? We have 12D plus 20 minus 8 gives us 12. Now let's compare that to what's in the yellow box. We have 12D plus 8 compared to 12D plus 12. Now the expressions are not equivalent, so that should tell you something about the values that we might substitute in for D, about whether or not that would be equivalent. But for those who don't understand the concept of that, let's just look at some of the choices here. So let's take choice C, for example. Choice C, if we substitute in the value of 1, if we put it in this expression and we substitute in a 1 and we finish this, wouldn't 12 times 1 be 12? And if we add 12 plus 8, we're looking at 20. And if we finish this for this expression, which is the simplified version of this, by the way, if I simplify this and do 12 plus 12, that's 24. Now 20 is not equal to 24. So by putting in the number 1 into the place of D, that doesn't change it. It's still not equal. So that's not an option. Now what if, instead of putting a 1 here, what if we just picked any value? Like let's say we were going to do the number 3 instead. Let's use a different color so it stands out. So if we use the number 3, which is part of this all value option, 12 times 3 would be 36. 12 times 3 would be 36. And if we added 8 versus adding 12 to that, our numbers would still not be equivalent. So that's not an option. And if we change it to 0, plug in a 0 here, plug in a 0 here, that's going to be 0 plus 8 versus 0 plus 12. We're still going to have 2 numbers that don't match each other. So really, it would be no values. And why is it no values? It's because the 2 expressions are simply not equivalent to each other. Now, if you had simplified this what's in the red box, and you got 12D plus 8, then you would choose all values. But when the expressions don't match, then you're going to choose no values. All right, so hopefully you found that helpful.